going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
See me shine, 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 walking on beams of light, 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 light.
AJ Good goes the distance for local sports on the X Sports Network.
And welcome to the Back Nine, brought to you by Wohali Sports, here joined by the golf pros and Jason Yvonne and Daniel Kierner. And guys, last week we talked putting. This week we're out in the open, no cover. Got the wind at our backs. Talking chipping this week.
That's correct. We're out here on this beautiful chipping area. This is one of the pride and joys of Keith, the owner here, is this chipping green. It's got 9 holes in the chipping green. It's got a bunker behind us. It's got a green next to the bunker that you can use for chipping as well. So you should call this the putting green. That's my fault. But it's fun to come out here and practice. You can do just about any shot, and that's what we're going to work through today is a little bit of chipping.
Yeah, this is an awesome place. It's over 8,000 square feet of chipping and putting, which is probably the most underutilized area of the facility, which
Sure.
Honestly probably the most underutilized area of any golf course is the practice chipping and putting greens. And we can't stress enough to our students that this is where you can typically shave the most strokes from round to round. Even if you're playing good, typically it's always easiest to improve on the putting and chipping greens. So that's what we're going to highlight today, and we would love to see our viewers out here more often, wouldn't we?
100%. And I know you do the same that I do, is try to get them not to bypass the green. You know,
Yep.
When I worked at Blackberry, they would come out, golfers would come out, they go straight past the putting green, go straight to the range and pull out their driver. And then they're like, why is my score not getting better? Well, how good is your chipping and putting? It's probably not very good.
And something else is, if you practice your chipping, usually that leaks into the full game. Making that short stroke, stable stroke, not a lot of moving, leaks in. If you can get better at that and hit solid chips, your long game is going to improve. And at the end of the day, golf is already expensive enough. You can go to most facilities across the country, and the chipping and putting area is free. Just bring a couple of balls, have you a couple of wedges and putter, and you can spend all day out there, and they're not going to run you off.
That is correct. And if you come here, when you get your bay, the chipping green is part of it, but you can stay out here just about all day, like Daniel said.
So let's get into chipping.
Definitely. Where do you want to go to first?
We'll go to our little spot over here, so go ahead and grab your wedge, and we're going to help our students. So what we find is a lot of our students get caught up in technique too much, and 70% of the time you're on the course, you have a pretty straightforward chip. You're not forced to hit over a bunker, flop shots. You got plenty of green to work with. So what I would like for you to talk about real quick is how to choose what shot you're hitting. And we're talking about 70-80% of your shots. You know, sometimes we are forced to hit that creative shot where we have to flop it or hit it low. But right here, we're just talking about a standard shot. And let me grab you a ball, and we'll go to that little square right there.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to use today is I like to chip a good bit with 52 degree or 56 degree, just for your basis chip shot. And then what Daniel was alluding to is the fact that it's easier to change your club than it is to change the motion. It's a lot harder to change your motion. And so if you're trying to hit a short shot, go with a sand wedge or go with a gap wedge, which is a 52 degree wedge. If you're trying to hit all the way across the green, then I would recommend going to like a pitching wedge or 9-iron or something like that to get it rolling across the green. You really don't have to take a bigger swing. It's almost the same motion with both shots.
Right, so what Jason's trying to convey to y'all, and this is so important, is we see golfers trying to add loft to clubs by manipulating the wrist, or taking loft off by manipulating the wrist, when all we can have to do is just change the club that we're using.
That's right.
If you use the strategy of getting the ball on the green the fastest, by choosing the correct club, you're going to get better. You're going to be closer to the hole on a more consistent basis, correct?
Get it rolling as fast as you can. That's how I learned it as a young kid.
So you can see the area with the red circle around it, correct?
Yes, correct.
I'm going to get a flag and put it on this short one as well. So what would your strategy be on that flag there?
The one that's going uphill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the setup, I would make sure that the feet were close together. So you don't want to have them far apart because we don't want to add in any of our weight shift because we're not hitting a shot. I mean, we're going to land it maybe 2 yards on the green and let it roll up the hill. So we don't want to have a big wide stance like we're setting up for a full shot or a driver. We want to have our feet fairly close together. I like to have my feet either square or slightly open, so then it allows you to rotate through the shot. So you're not just, like Daniel said, you're not adding loft by flipping the wrist. It's easier to hold your wrist angle coming through impact.
So would you be safe to say that chipping is a very rotary move
It
and
is
not
a very
lateral?
rotary
So
move.
what Jason's saying is we don't want a lot of side-to-side movement. We want more rotation, and that's how we're going to control the speed. And it's a precision move,
It is
right?
a precision move.
If we start adding lateral to it, it gets really hard to control the hand speed, doesn't it?
It does.
All right.
And it's very hard also to control the bottom of your chipping arc.
Do you think stance width, you think safe to say about a club width apart?
I would say a club width, and you could start with that. And I don't think you're going to be off balance. A lot of people are scared they're going to be off balance with this narrow stance, but they're really not. So I would say a club width apart.
Club width, two
Perfect.
club widths tops, and try to get comfortable with that. I agree.
And then the next thing is going to be to add just a bit of weight to your lead leg, to your forward leg. So for me, it's my left one. So go a club head width apart, and then I'm going to add a little bit of weight to my lead side. And the reason that we do that is we want to make sure that the bottom of our chipping arc is in front of the ball. If we get on our back foot, that's when people start to flip and start to add loft and things like that.
And they start adding loft and scooping, and we got to remember the more that the club points towards the sky, we got something called bounce, right?
That's right.
So the more that the club points towards the sky, the bounce gets more exposed, and we increase the bounce of the club. And we all know what bounce is. It's basically the reflection of the object hitting the ground back up. So basically you're increasing the bounce of the club, so you lose forgiveness, correct?
Correct. You lose forgiveness, it skids, it's going to blade it across the green. And so a lot of shots that are bladed are because people don't have the correct angle coming into impact.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
all right, so club head width apart. All right, ball position. Last thing is going to be probably middle to middle back. We don't want to have it in the front. We want to have it so we can hit down on it. All right.
And I'm going to add something to ball position really quick. Okay. So if you're going to change anything in the motion or technique, I don't want to change motion, right?
Sure.
We're basically replacing motion with changing loft of the club, right? So we're actually going to select a different club. But what you can do is use the ball position in your favor, so you can move the ball slightly up to hit a little bit of air between the ball and the ground to hit a little higher, or you can move it back. So that's about where I limit my students, especially my beginners and intermediate players. Let's learn how to change the flight of the ball with ball position, but not with the wrist. Does that make sense? But for your standard shot, Jason is absolutely right. Around middle back is perfect.
All right, hand position. We're going to have our hands slightly in front of the ball. We don't want to have it behind. I mean, that's what Daniel's talking about, adding loft to it. So I want to try to use the effective loft, maybe de-loft it just a little bit. So we want to have our hands right in front of the ball. And then like Daniel said, it's going to be a rotary motion. So we're not going to slide to the right and then use our wrist. We want to try to kind of quiet our wrist down. So I'm going to go ahead and hit one. Try to stay on my left side.
And what you can see on chipping is we're not trying to make every chip. This is where people really go for the hole way too much,
Sure.
don't they?
100%.
So we threw a little circle around there. It gives you about 3 feet on every side of the hole. And the thing is you need a goal of getting it within 3 or 4 feet of the hole, and that's going to give you an opportunity to make that putt, right?
That's correct. And in this chip right here, because it's going uphill, the best place to leave the ball, in my opinion, is underneath the hole. Uphill putt. It's much easier to make an uphill
Absolutely.
putt. So yes, I didn't get that shot into the circle, but I'm still below the hole where I've got a little bit easier putt.
And it's okay to hit an okay shot every now and again.
It
You don't
is.
have to hit a great shot every
You
time.
don't.
The thing is you missed it just a hair, but at least you accomplished one thing. You kept it below the hole.
Right.
it's better than missing that far and being long of the hole.
That is correct. And
Right.
running it off the green.
That is absolutely right. And I'm going to give you one more tip. So Jason was talking about keeping the wrist quiet. What I tell my students is you can use the butt end of the club here, and what we don't want is through impact for that butt end to start bleeding towards our trail forearm. And you can see how the butt end is going towards that trail forearm. So the butt end, basically I'm adding loft through impact. What we want to see is that butt end of the club hanging out underneath that lead forearm, and what that's going to require you to do, what we've been talking about, is it's a rotary move, and that's going to be rotate, correct? You cannot lead with the butt end and under your lead arm unless you rotate with it and come through, and that's one of the flaws I see because people try to help it up and they get this scooping action, and they know that they're scooping, but they don't have a real way. How do I fix it and how do I know when I do it other than looking at the ball? And that's going to be keeping the butt end of the lead end of the grip or the butt end of the grip kind of hugged to that lead forearm.
I like that. That's a great idea.
It's a good start that we have here at the chipping green. Now we're going to go to the beach, guys. We're heading to the sand trap that's coming up next here on the Back Nine, brought to you by Wohali Sports.
Are you looking for a non-factory job environment? Livingstone Freight Solutions is a 3PL company that began managing warehouses in Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. With our multiple shifts and experienced management team, our goal is to give you as an employee a safe family work environment and competitive wages. We offer a wide variety of employment opportunities from forklift drivers to management level positions. We also strive to offer a competitive benefit package and PTO options. For more information or to apply, visit us at livingstonefs.com or give us a call at 931-269-3255.
Got a dent, a ding, a scratch, or a bent fender? Major or minor, Car Country Collision Center in Leoma can fix you up. Car Country works with all insurance carriers, gives free estimates, can work on foreign and domestic vehicles, and has experience you can trust. They've been in business since 1990. Unfortunately, accidents happen, but you can get your car back on the road with as little hassle as possible with the help of Car Country. Call 931-852-4708 or stop by at 2567 Highway 43 South in Leoma.
A local law firm respected throughout the state. Generations of clients have turned to Boston, Holt, and Durham since 1948. We assist individuals and businesses with their legal needs, including real estate, property closings, personal injury, employment discrimination, and family law. Our clients get the personal attention and convenience of a hometown law firm with the resources and ability to handle any case. Come see us at Boston, Holt, and Durham.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And back here at the Back Nine, brought to you by Wohali Sports. Now, guys, we talked about chipping. Now it's time to get some work here on the beach, working out of the sand.
Yeah, so I always joke around with my my students, customers, whatever, my clients, and I always tell them we're not going to work on bunkers because bunkers are just for looks anyway. You don't hit in them, right? But at the end of the day, unfortunately, we typically hit in a bunker. I will say the average handicap out there, and we're talking about a course with just average amount of bunkers, typically has to play out of 4 to 5 bunkers around, about 4 bunkers around. So that's quite a bit of time.
It is.
In the bunker. I'm talking about your low 80s shooters to mid 80s. So if you're in the 90s, you're probably hitting the bunker 6 times. So it's very important that we don't discount it and just assume that we know how to hit out of bunker. I think it's worth practicing, and that's why we have it here at Wohali.
Yeah, and going in a little bit too.
So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into the bunker, and I'm going to have one of the other teacher here, Jason, our head PGA teacher here. We're going to have him in the bunker, and we're going to talk about a little bit of what to do and set up. And so what, you got a ball? Let's go ahead and throw it in here. So Jason, I'm gonna kind of direct him in what to do here. So what I would do out of the bunker is we need to make sure that we're grabbing enough sand. What a lot of people don't realize is that the club never really touches the ball. It shouldn't touch the ball. Actually, there's a lot of sand between the ball and the club, and the sand's going to lift the ball out. So the important piece here is when we're working with our students in our clinics and things is we want to throw the sand out on the green. The ball is just a result of that. So if we throw enough sand out on the green, typically the ball is going to come out nicely. So we got to make sure that we're hitting sand. What we also want to do is, we talked earlier when we were chipping about how the bounce of the club is kind of can work against you around the green. And the bunker is really where this really helps you, because we don't want to dig deep in the sand. And if we're going with, if we go with the leading edge here, we're going to really scoop a lot of sand. And what we want to do is glide through the bunker, so we've got to expose the bottom of the club. And I see a ton of our students, they never open up their club. They're scared of it because they're not comfortable. And the reason they're not comfortable is because they never practice. Right. So what we got to do is, one of the best teachers around here was Chris Burns. A lot of our viewers are going to know who he is. What he would do is draw a square around the ball, which I see that you have a line behind the ball, and what he would pretend is there is a piece of bread under the ball. And he would tell the students, I want you to knock that piece of bread out from under the ball. Never hit the ball, okay? So the idea here is, you can see, and I'm going to get you to move your shadow just real quick. You can see this line behind the ball. We roughly want to hit, and it's not exact. We don't have to be an inch. We don't have to be 2 inches. We could be a half inch. It depends on the length of the shot. But the thing is we definitely need to be hitting behind the ball and scooping the bread out from under the ball. I tell my students a lot of times it's pancakes. We want to scoop the pancake out from under. So if you keep in mind that you want to throw sand out on the green, what we're going to do to help you do that is we got to make sure we dig our feet in the sand. So we're going to have, and what that's going to allow him to do is, now that his feet are below the sand, that's setting him up to hit this ball and hit it a little fat, and that's essentially what we're wanting to do. Also, what he's going to do is he's usually going to open his stance slightly to the target. The reason we open the stance to the target is because we want the club to come in a little steeper. The steeper we are, the more sharply we're coming into the ground, and we're going to hit it a little bit behind it, and we're going to bring more sand out, which is what we want to do. But to make sure that we're going to do it properly, we got to make sure that we have enough bounce on the club, so we got to open that club face. So we're going to open stance. And then, Jason, I'm going to ask him real quick. His mic went down. Where do you like your pressure on your shot?
Front leg.
Or front leg. So he likes his pressure on his front leg. This is something that you can play with. So there's different styles. There's not one size that fits all for our viewers. And the thing is it's great. The more you have weight on your front leg, the steeper you can come, correct? Correct. But the thing is, if you get too far on your front leg, you might catch more ball too quick. So it's something that you play around with. What I do not want is your weight on your back foot. We either want to be 50-50, 60-40 on the front leg, 70-30 on the front leg, but we either need equal from left to right or a little bit heavier on the front leg, and that's going to make sure that we're driving down under the ball. So you can tell that the common theme here is we're trying to hit sand first, right? Everything that we're doing. So we want to check when you walk into the bunker, make sure you dig your feet in a little bit. Get comfortable so that you're going to hit about an inch under the ball, and we're going to slap that bread out. Get your weight right, and then open up the club face. And when you open up the club, I want you to make sure that you don't get your grip and then open it up. If you do this, the club is going to return like this no matter what. So what you want to do to properly open it up is actually rotate the club in your hand to get a new grip.
That's right.
And that's going to make sure that you expose that bounce and keep the face open through impact. So I'm going to ask Jason again another question, and I'll repeat it. What about ball position here?
Ball position is going to be middle to just in front.
Perfect.
Middle to middle front.
Very neutral, so middle to middle front. And why he wants to favor the front here is because, again, the low point is typically in the middle of your stance, and we want the low point to be before the ball, because we need the club to slide through the sand first and then lift the ball out. I will say this. Instead of swinging harder for longer bunker shots, just move the ball back in your stance so you're catching less sand, and you don't have to change the speed of your swing or the technique very much. You can just change ball position, very similar to how we were chipping over here. So Jason, we're going to put a little pressure on you. Which hole do you want to hit to?
This first one.
We'll go to this, and Jason's goal right here, again, is just to throw some sand out of the bunker and get it to the green and splash it out. The key is splash it out. You see a lot of tour pros hit a lot of spinny shots. We're not going for that. Our goal is to get out of trouble and get it on the green so that we can get up and down and save that par. Isn't that right? All right, so let's put it into the test. Very nice.
Oh, nice.
And what you can see with that shot is how soft it landed. And the key is it didn't have any spin. It just splashed out and it landed soft on the green. There wasn't a whole lot of energy. And it's all due to he hit it perfectly. You can see the line where the loaf of bread started right here. That's where his divot started. And it went and took out the whole loaf of bread. So his club was traveling through the sand for quite a long period, wasn't it? And the ball just lifted out. I wish we had a 6,000 frame per second camera to see that motion. But again, the club never touched the ball, and it was just a splash out. Very simple movement, right?
Correct, 100%.
Explain to everyone also, Jason, as you can tell, made some pretty good divots there with his feet. Why, and when people watch guys in the pros dig themselves in the sand, why you do that while you're in the bunker?
So to do that is one, to get stable.
Right.
At the end of the day, we do have rotary motion. When you rotate, I'll tell you this, if you got rollerblades at home, try to make a golf swing with rollerblades. The thing is that your one feet goes that one way and the other one goes the other way to rotate.
Right.
You're going to fall. Try swinging in a canoe. Stand up on a canoe and try to swing, you're going to fall over. So the thing is what I'm trying to say is to rotate properly, you actually have opposite directions being applied by your feet. We need to be stable because the sand is loose. So one is to get stable and not shift around very much. The other is to get the feet below the ball so that he can scoop under it.
Yeah, so get yourself a little bit underneath to make sure that you stability and that you are hitting underneath the ball more.
And he dug a hole.
Yeah, he did.
Different people do different things. I love it. Again, the result is great. And the thing is, it's not one size fits all. We can play around with it, get to how your style is. One thing is I do truly believe this, and he may or may not realize it, is he is really heavy on his front foot. Because of that, he has to make sure he doesn't hit to the ball too quick. So the deeper he goes, the quicker he doesn't stand a chance of hitting it thin. So the more weight he added to the front side, he dug deeper to make sure you still got under it, which is fine. Again, it's just all in what your personal preferences are. We just give people the fundamentals and principles of hitting a good bunker shot, and he did a really good job of it.
That's good stuff there, guys. Well, coming up next, we'll kind of pick up where we left off on the chipping part of it, then go into the mailbag. That's next on the Back Nine, brought to you by Wohali Sports.
Hey, this is Phil Hooper. Get the look you want for your favorite school, church, or business with apparel from HD Ink Screen Printing in Leoma, Tennessee. Got a logo you need embroidered or screen printed? Let HD Ink give you the professional look that sets the bar in today's world. We do fundraisers and custom designed apparel and so much more. Call today, 931-201-2961, or come see us at our new shop located at 26 Ingram Road in Leoma. Remember, HD Ink for the look you want and the look you deserve.
Lawrenceburg Flooring and More is your premier source for hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl tile, sheet vinyl, residential and commercial carpet, carpet tiles, ceramic and porcelain tile, waterproof floating floor, plus blinds and shutters. Lawrenceburg Flooring and More is also home to all name brands and can tackle projects big and small. Installation? You're covered with installers who've got years of experience and stand behind their work. Let Lawrenceburg Flooring and More make your design dreams a reality. 2760 Highway 43 North, or visit LawrenceburgFlooringandMore.com.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 walking on beams of light, 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 light. Oh, oh, oh,
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Back here at the back here on the back nine, brought to you by Wohali Sports. Here, hopefully, we got Jason's mic fixed as he comes a little closer to me.
We're gonna get a mic working here.
Yeah, we do actually this time. So, guys, we're kind of what's some other things here, chipping wise, that you guys want to add to our viewers?
Well, I want to add, since I couldn't talk because the mic wasn't working over there, is like allude to what Daniel was talking about. Just a little addition to the bunker is one thing that you see with amateurs that they do not do is they don't finish with their chest facing the flag. So if you don't, like you saw me as I rotated through, that allowed the club to accelerate through the ball instead of just my hands doing the work. Like he said, the rotation part of it. And if you watch most, I bet 99% of tour pros are going to finish with their chest facing where they want the ball to end up.
So do you think, just out of just thinking and hearing you say it, because I honestly see it, I think in every golf shot, amateur golfers don't finish with their chest through. But I think a lot of the bunkers, they're trying to add loft through the shot.
Sure.
So they're trying to get here and throw their hands at it because they never really effectively added loft in the very beginning, or at least the correct way. So maybe that is one of the reasons. So.
I believe that's a good reason, and I agree with you that they don't trust opening the face. They feel like they're going to blade it into that building over there.
Scared to death. And the thing is people are usually scared of stuff that they're uncomfortable with,
sure.
and things that we're uncomfortable with, we typically don't do. So we don't practice. But the thing is to get better at this game, we got to get a little uncomfortable. You're not going to embarrass yourself out here or any golf course if you go at the practice facilities. That's what it's for, to get better.
That's correct. Yeah. Definitely. We want to go back into the chipping a little bit because I understand that I didn't have any talk. I was not able, y'all weren't able to hear what I was saying. Mm-hmm. So, and I know you had a question about ball position with chip shots, like whether you should play it. You're talking about front or back or middle?
Well, I saw something on YouTube where different clubs, you have different ball positions, like 0 through 3 irons, middle, and then the higher the club, the further it went in your stance. Is that kind of what you guys teach as well when it comes to higher the number on the club, the further it goes up in your stance?
Yes, and so wedge is usually starting in the center is where we would start most of our kids and amateurs that come out, and then working forward in the setup. If you go back to, I always allude to Jack Nicklaus because that's who I learned most of my stuff from. His book is his ball position with a wedge was in the center, and then it would move forward about 1 inch to 2 inches, but he also widened his feet. So if you widen your feet, if you keep your right foot moving back and it widens out, the ball is going to naturally move forward as you move back behind the ball.
So you're widening your stance by moving one foot,
That's
not both equally. You're just moving.
If you move the left one, then it's going to mess with your ball position. So you keep that left foot stable, and then you kind of step out your right foot, and it naturally moves you back to where we get into a driver setup as well.
Yeah, and they said in the video I saw the driver was almost on the front foot.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I will say that it's kind of funny, and I think me and Jason are really on the same page here. And if you watch the tour, I kind of watch them. They play a lot of their shots way heavy forward in their stance, and the thing is they're really efficient at getting on that front foot. Over the last probably 5 to 8, 10 years, they've realized how important your forces are moving around on your feet from your backside to your lead side. And moving the ball forward is a good way to make sure you get to the front side of your body. So if you can do it efficiently, forward is better. But I do think ball position is one of the most controversial things amongst teachers on what they teach.
Sure,
I really
agree.
I do.
And I think we are on the same page about moving the ball forward, and I'll even do it to some of my students that are probably mid handicaps and they're playing at middle or middle back. I'll move it forward to help them get to their left side, kind of as a drill to try to force them to go down and get it or chase to their left side a little bit more, and it makes them drive their weight, because if they don't, then they're going to hit behind it. Right. And so as they're hitting behind it, they just start moving the ball back rather than fixing their load to their lead leg.
And the thing is they're addressing a problem by moving it back. Logically it makes sense, but the thing is they don't realize what they're sacrificing in the rest of their swing to make that change.
Right.
Yep.
And it's a lot of things.
A lot of things.
It would take a whole show to go into what you're sacrificing by moving the ball back. Yeah. So
and obviously in the chipping part of it, like you mentioned, you kind of want it a little bit center, but more towards the front.
That's right. And so it just any of these little pitch shots like we talked about, feet club head width apart, weight towards your lead leg, front leg, and then like Daniel said, we're going to have the handle continue as you rotate. He was talking about using the handle to keep you from flipping the club, so it gets you a feel of what you want to feel
Some
going through
people
impact.
choke down on it. Some people don't. If you're not a choker down of the grip, which I'm big on choking down because I want to get up and personal, closer to it, that gives me feel like a little bit of control, doesn't mean it's right for you. So if you're like Jason, he likes to keep his hands kind of where he's comfortable up top on most of his shots. Get a long tee, stick it in the butt of the club. So if you stick a tee in the butt of the club, now you have a guide on what that handle's doing through the shot.
Definitely. And I think too, this is something that we didn't talk about in the first segment, but chipping, pitching these type shots like this, the closer you can be to the ball, the better. And it's ultimately something that we see that people are too far away, and then the toes are, up in the air, and then they end up hitting with the bottom of the club or the wrong part of the bounce or things like that. So the closer you can be, the better you're going to hit the shot. So we're going to hit this shot. We're going to put, like we talked, 60, a little bit more on our lead side, on our left side, hands slightly in front, and then we're going to rotate.
So what Jason is doing here, and again, for a good position, is middle front, middle back, whatever it is, but around that middle area for just a neutral shot, which we're going to get on the course.
Right.
Use the ball position. I think this is kind of goes to the question you were asking about. So the same rules really don't apply to chipping because it's not a distance thing. It's more about controlling the trajectory, more precision. So you can move, you have the freedom of moving the ball as far forward or back as you want, and all that's going to do is affect the angle of attack and then the dynamic loft of the club, which affects how high the ball goes. So if you want it to go lower, move it a little bit further back. If you want it to go higher, move it a little bit far forward. And again, if you want it just a neutral shot and deliver the club at more of a neutral position, put it in the center.
So basically, when it comes to chip shots, it's all about keeping your legs club width apart,
right?
Pretty much, and more about the rotation to make sure your chest goes to the hole.
That is correct.
Yes.
And that should keep you from using too much hands in this shot.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, I have a lot of people come to me with chipping problems. I know you do too. The most difficult thing is to get people to admit that they have chipping problems and get them out here because they don't want to practice it for whatever reason. But the thing is two simple movements, just a set of, if I can just get them closer together, that's going to promote rotary. We don't even have to go into those. Right. And then if we can keep the handle forward and chest towards the target, just those two things, I get phone calls more than any other lesson. Yeah. And they're like, my chipping is the best it's ever been. I'm making more pars. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Just a couple of simple thoughts.
Chipping and putting, it's like the special teams of golf.
It really is. Yeah. And it's a lot of people say it's not fun to practice this. I think it is. Yeah. Because if you get better at this, you start making chips, it takes some pressure off your iron game and your driver game if you're good around the greens. If you're good out of bunkers, good in pitching, good in chipping, and good in putting, it eases up your iron game a good bit.
It's kind of like this. I mean, quarterbacks probably want to throw deep passes all the time. They don't want to run the ball all the time, but the thing is, running the ball is necessary, correct?
Yeah.
So I know we want to hit those high flop shots, fun spinners and all that. I get so many questions. How do I hit that one hop stop shot?
Sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Can you hit me a normal pitch first?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to teach it, kind of thing. So having a good fundamental around the green and good principles is necessary.
So a 30-foot putt is pretty much like a 60-yard field goal. You're bailing out the offense for a bad drive.
That is correct.
That's it.
100%.
That's it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. A great episode here. Lots of good tips out here today. So that does it for the Back Nine, brought to you by Wohali Sports. We'll see you guys next week.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.